Have you ever not listened to your gut or your intuition and it resulted in someone that you love suffering because you couldn't speak up or take action? Well, today that happened for me. So, tomorrow marks 6 weeks since our twin boys were born. And today we got a phone call from the hospital letting us know that they were going to transfer them to a hospital that's much closer to where we live. Good news all around. The transfer went well. They were in stable condition when they arrived, but we noticed that one of our sons was crying a lot. And nothing that we did could soothe them or comfort them. And I mean really crying, arms and legs flaring around. And we tried our best to do what we could. So my wife and I would rotate and take turns doing some hand hugging, as they call it, where you apply some pressure with your hands, trying to speak to them, wrap them up tightly a little bit, but nothing was working. We spoke to the nurses, and some nurses told us, well, they are getting older, so they're starting to change. And that really makes sense to us. We spoke to a pediatrician, a doctor, who came by, and we mentioned our concern that typically this twin, this boy, is the opposite of how he's acting right now. He's usually very calm compared to his brother, but we felt that something was off. And again, it didn't really hit home. It probably sounded like, as new parents, we were just overreacting. It occurred to me that maybe I should take the initiative and, stick my hands in that incubator and, examine my son. Even though a doctor had kind of done it and nurses had kind of done it, I should have picked him up and, looked at his body for marks or scratches that might have happened, anything that would explain why he was crying like this. But I didn't. And I thought that what I was doing was enough. But it wasn't, because later on, the shift change happened and a new batch of nurses came through, and we were assigned a new nurse who came to check our son, and she lifted up our son, and right behind his back, we found this over here. I don't know if you can see that. It's basically a little ridged cap that goes on a syringe. So I think it's from the feeding tube or something like that. It's a hard piece of plastic with little ridges around the edges there. Okay? So that explained it. And when I saw that, I was kind of really affected by it. And seeing, my boy be in such pain, and then to quickly see him just go completely silent and just turn over on his side and just pass out and just go to sleep. And knowing that had I listened to my gut and taken action and been a father and done what a father is supposed to do, maybe I would have saved my son, a couple of hours, maybe more, of literally pain and suffering. We used a soother, and that would work temporarily. He'd settle down, and the minute it slipped out of his mouth, he'd start crying again. And this is why. Because this cap, I know accidents happen, okay? And nurses are amazing people. What they do is so valued and so important, but mistakes happen, and clearly this was missed, and it landed behind him while they were handling him. But had I listened to my intuition and my gut and not been, afraid of authority or been concerned about what the nurses or staff might think if I started handling my son to that degree, which I hadn't done yet. I've changed diapers, I've soothed them, I've, adjusted their head when their breathing tube is misplaced and, their oxygen levels are going a little wonky. If I would have just taken the initiative and done it, I would have saved them a lot of suffering. Okay, I don't want to repeat myself, but that's the main point there. And I know you're probably thinking, your son is 6 weeks old. Was he bleeding? Was there any cuts or scrapes? No, there wasn't, thankfully. But I think it's just the idea of that it's a close call, that this could have potentially went on for several more hours. And maybe it would have pierced his skin. Maybe it would have caused an infection. All these what ifs. And in that moment, I felt like I failed my son. know I didn't in reality, but that's how I felt. And there's been situations like that that have happened in the past. But I realize that I have to really put in my head that I'm going to take action whenever I feel something is off. This is my wake-up call. This is my reminder that this is just the start of their lives, and I need to step up when my gut is telling me to check something or to double check something. I need to take action. So as a fellow parents out there, probably this kind of thing has happened to you. If it has, I'd be happy to hear about it. If you've got any tips for me, please share. I'll accept them. And I'll be very grateful for you for sharing that. The nurses gave us a tip after that happened and said that once it happened to her daughter, and the baby was crying a lot like ours, and they checked it out, and there was a piece of linen or like loose material from the blanket that had wrapped around the baby's toes and was kind of pinching them. So she said, she reminded us that if the baby ever cries like this, once we bring them home, check the environment, check their body, their fingers, their toes, their back. So lesson learned, lesson learned. So yeah, that's it. So that's my journey to parenthood. I think my wife and I are really earning our stripes. I know some people have it much worse, but we are grateful that they're here and we are learning, and we can only do our best. Yeah, so thanks for watching, and the journey continues. I don't know if I can